All right, we're trying again to draft my deck for tonight's stream. I'm kind of flustered because we just had a draft that froze and we had to start over, so it's a bummer. I got to sort of reset my expectations. Coming into this cube, which is a pretty traditional cube, lots of powerful cards, most close to like a vintage cube of all the cubes we've played on stream before. Here in this pack, I am looking at Thalia, either of these dual lands, Chain Lightning, Once Upon a Time. None of these are thrilling to me, so I think it's just a Chain Lightning. Maybe we can be mono red and make the stream really easy for us later. All right, here, Archon of Cruelty jumps out as, I think, the premier reanimation target. It would be kind of a bummer to take Archon and pass a red-black Triome, but I think this is the kind of unfair stuff I should be trying to do. Also a shame to pass Chrome Mox, which I would like either in mono red or in a unfair Reanimator deck. But let's try it. Let's see if we can do some Archon stuff. I think we'll wheel Bone Shards. I agree. I think that'll come back around. Anyway, a quick look at the cube all right between packs here. So yeah, this is like pretty similar to like the Magic Online cube, I would say. Or, you know, it's got plenty of differences, but a lot of overlap here in overall strategies. Compared to like my Bun Magic cube, it's a lot more unfair and has a higher curve, and just I have to like reset my assumptions in a lot of different ways. All right, here I think this is Mana Confluence is a bummer to pass because there is less fixing here than in cubes I'm used to, and you know, remind me later when I'm complaining about not having fixing, I could have taken this Mana Confluence, but I think Seasoned Pyromancer is one of the best discard outlets in the entire cube. It also lets us play a very strong fair plan if the unfair thing's not coming together, so it's going to be that. Atarka is a perfectly fine Reanimator target, but I already have the best one, and there is like Entomb and stuff in this list, so I'd be hoping to do a little better than getting an Atarka. Oh god, the Transformers Collective Brutality? Jay. I'm sure this does not actually match the version this Jay has in his cube. All right, here, Unholy Heat, Dark Ritual. I think really it's one of those two. Terminate's just a worse Unholy Heat, basically. So if I do get Entomb and a Reanimation spell, the turn 1 Reanimate Archon of Cruelty is pretty messed up. And I think that's better in this situation than having an Unholy Heat, even though I'm really high on Unholy Heat. So let's potentially try and go fast and be unfair. Ooh, all right, so Faithless Looting or Putrid Imp. This is where my lack of experience with these sort of more unfair strategies is going to shine through. Putrid Imp is a faster discard outlet, right? We can just... Well, I guess it's not faster. It's reusable, right? So I can draw my thing, immediately discard it, no matter what point of the game it is. Faithless Looting, if I don't have the target in hand, casting it is kind of a risk, though I do get to flash it back. It digs so deep into the deck, though, to find the reanimation spells, too. I'm going to take Looting. Expressive Iteration also looking really good here, but I'm not in blue yet, so I think it's going to be Looting. This pack I don't like. This makes me unhappy. I guess... You know, I'm going to take this Triome. It makes splashes easy. It makes other fetch lands get black. I wish it was a red-black Triome, but I think that's the best thing here over like a Golgari Signet or a Terastodon. All right, there's our Exhume. There's also Mind Twist. Oy. How many reanimation spells do we have in this cube? Let's see. We have Reanimate, Exhume, Persist, Animate Dead, Recurring Nightmare. Recurring Nightmare being in a different category. It's actually not that many. I think I'm going to prioritize that over a Mind Twist. I also don't have any fast mana aside from Dark Ritual right now. This could be a huge mistake, but I think Mind Twist, you know, Mind Twist is much more conditional. In a top deck war, it's just not good, so I don't think it's a slam dunk there. I think it's got to be the Exhume. This doesn't feel good. I think Show and Tell is a trap, but it's the closest thing we have to an on-plan strategy. Of all the things to put in with Show and Tell, Archon is at least passable. We could take this Sword, which I would basically be treating as a sideboard card, probably for decks that are heavy on black and green, because I don't expect to have a lot of cheap creatures in this deck, as a matter of course. Not happy about either of those, though. And the fact that there's nothing in this pack for us is not a great sign. I'll take this Sword, I guess, for the sideboard. Sure. All right, back to where we started. Cityscape Leveler is interesting as a reanimation target. I think it's better for us than a Monastery Swift Spear. Blightsteel Colossus can't be reanimated realistically, so I guess Leveler. Bone Shards did in fact come back around, but so did Xander's Lounge. Oy. I think I got to eat my vegetables here. I only have Chain Lightning as removal right now. And I only have Faithless Looting as a discard outlet. Well, no, I have 2 discard outlets. I think I need to take my lumps, eat my vegetables, and take that Xander's Lounge. I don't think there's going to be much left in these packs for us, if I remember how the packs went. Okay, we do get a Terminate. That's fine. We're happy with that. Woe Strider, I guess, does something. No, not really. I lied. It doesn't do anything. I don't want to play that card. Sure. I want to play against Armageddon and Urtai. Sure. This is not as good of a start as I had in the last draft that got lost, which hopefully will not happen again. Fingers crossed. No freezing. I'm hoping not to play these cards, which means at this point I'm really only on like 10 playables, including 2 lands, which is not a great spot to be after pack 1. I kind of wonder if there is somebody competing for a similar strategy in this spot. Oh, thank God it didn't freeze. All right, now I'm looking at Unmarked Grave, which is in fact a good way to put exactly Archon of Cruelty into my graveyard. I'm looking at Liliana of the Veil as a discard outlet and also a way to play a more fair game against certain types of decks. Rabble Master, Valky, Inferno Titan, him are other kinds of options, but I think it's got to be Unmarked Grave. If nothing else, just to send the signal that I am playing the Reanimator deck and people should not fight me for it. All right, easy fetch land here. Yep, plenty of options, but we'll take, let's see, we have Zagoth Triome, which is already a black source, so if we take Scalding Tarn, it can get both Xander's Lounge and Triome if we decide to play that one. That's a good tiebreaker, I think, between the two. Tinker's scary, but I'm not the Tinker deck, as is Stack Faden, but I'm not either of those decks right now, so it's got to be Scalding Tarn. Entomb. All right. Great. Maybe people weren't fighting us. Maybe we just didn't open the cards we wanted to see in pack 1, so easy Entomb for me here. Looking pretty good. We do have Dark Ritual Entomb Exhume now, so we can turn 1 potentially Archon people or Cityscape Leveler people. It can be done. I don't play as many cubes that have the kinds of unfair strategies we're looking at right now, and so I'm a little bit on uncomfortable territory for the kind of Magic I tend to be better at. Fingers crossed I don't punt away my matches. Someone's in the tank. I would take a Sneak Attack if I saw one. Did we see that in pack 1 or was it the first draft? I can't remember now. All right, what we got here? So, looking at Grist, which we can realistically play off of our Zagoth Triumph if we get a couple more fetches. Looking at Coalition Relic, I guess, but I'm not really excited about that here. I'm trying to go fast and unfair. Squee if I want to have a back door into a more fair strategy, but if I'm going to play a more fair strategy, I want Grist anyway, so I think it's going to be Grist. Sure. Let's hope to actually play that one, because, ooh, all right, there's a Sneak Attack. Here's where the paths diverge in the woods. Hey, thanks, Red Hot. I'm glad you like the stuff we make. It means a lot. So here, we can take a Sneak Attack, and then we can play things like a Dragon Lord of Tarka and maybe some other big beefy boys we get as a backup plan. Right now, we only have one way to reanimate stuff, and it's Exhume. So we're leaning pretty hard on that one card and hoping it resolves. Thoughtseize, though, is so generically good. I think there's actually a tiny chance this Sneak Attack comes around, and I would rather have a good versatile spell, I think, at this point. So I'm going to do that. All right, Donald agrees. I mean, it's also worth noting, Thoughtseize, a discard outlet for myself. All right, this is cool. I'm happy to have a Sheoldred here. I think Sheoldred is pretty messed up, and ramping into it is also pretty messed up, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. There's the Persist. There's also the Blood Crypt, though. And the Through the Breach. All right, maybe the deck is open. I think I need to take this reanimation effect. I would so prefer to have this Blood Crypt. It's no way it wheels, I don't think. I think we're going to get, like... We might get Through the Breach on the wheel. I think it'd be like Thief, Through the Breach, something else on the wheel. I think I need the reanimation effect, though, because there's only one in the deck right now. So, yeah, it's got to be that. Sorry, Blood Crypt. I love you. All right, Dreadbore, Grizzlebrand, K-Command, Baleful Strix. So, I actually think that Archon is the better reanimation target in a deck like this than Grizzlebrand. So I think I already have the premier one. Also, Persist cannot hit Grizzlebrand. So I only have one reanimation effect for Grizzlebrand, and it's Exhume. I also have Cityscape Leveler and like a Dragon Lord Atarka, which certainly Grizzlebrand is better than those, but is it enough better to be worth a pick over a K-Command? All right, Grizzlebrand is really good with Sneak Attack, though. It's also really cool. I'm going to take it because it's cool. And maybe wheel that Sneak Attack and we can draw into more Sneak Attack targets. All right. Okay, geez. I'm really happy with this Liliana wheel. At first, I was like, him and Inferno Titan are fine pickups, but Liliana is what I really want here. One more discard outlet for me, and another way to play a fair strategy if I need to. Just curve Liliana into Sheoldred, and hope you already have an answer somewhere. Okay, here I'm taking this Underground Sea, making this blue splash easier. That means I can maybe hope to actually play some blue cards if I get them, which I don't hate. How's this deck coming together? I just don't know. I feel like I'm just not good at evaluating these kinds of decks. I don't think I want to play any more than like these three reanimation targets at most, unless that Sneak Attack comes around, and then I'll put Dragon Lord Atarka back in here probably, and will be a little more combo oriented. I'm glad you think I'm in a good spot, Donald. The fixing is still killing me, especially because I really want that untap fixing. Maybe we'll see a Badlands in pack 3. That would be great. But I really want the untap fixing for the turn 1 ritual into Entomb Exhume or Entomb Persist. That's kind of the dream. Yeah, definitely need more fixing. Fixing is at a premium in this cube for sure. 52 lands, a lot of which are utility lands. So, yeah, it's also fine to reanimate things on turn 2. It's not the worst thing in the world if we have to do it. At this point, honestly, like, we're kind of barely in red. We have more fixing for blue than we do for red. So it's not out of the question to think about being more like a Sultai deck. We don't need any of these effects for our reanimation deck. We have Entomb and Persist, which is better than Discard Outlet anyway. So, like, now, do we take a Frantic Search? No, we just take Acquisition of Kozilek, right? Or do we take... No, we take Acquisition of Kozilek here. Yeah. But I think there's a question still of whether we are actually playing red or not. So, if we end up playing blue, I think we're going to want Factor Fiction more than we're going to want Squee in a red deck, I think. Let's do this. Let's, And then, Creeping Tar Pit or Chupacabra? Still have a pick at this point. Let's go Tar Pit. Well, if I play no red, I have very little removal. Oy. Fixing. Okay. Glenalendra, Murderous Rider. That's options. I'll take Murderous Rider. And the Thief came back around. I miscounted that pack. We only have one thing wheeling there, not multiple things. All right. Going into pack 3. Rakdos Signet, Recurring Nightmare, Volcanic Island, Bone Crusher Giant, Smuggler's Copter. No, not a Smuggler's Copter deck, I don't think. I don't think this is a Recurring Nightmare deck. That's a deck where you want a lot of cheap creatures, stuff with enter the battlefield abilities and things. That's like kind of a D tier, like fast reanimation spell. I mean, Vendilion Click 2 could also be the pick. I do want to play some of these red cards. Even if I can't play the double red Seasoned Pyromancer. Well, actually, I mean, how good are these things? I'm not even sure. Rakdos Signet. This is hard. I'll just take Volcanic Island, and then any blue fetch also fixes for black-red. which, to be fair, my Scalding Tarn already does, because I'll be surely playing some mountains, so let's take lands. Let's take lands at this point. I don't think anything else was compelling enough. All right. Here, so if we end up being able to play green cards, Survival is like the best discard outlet for this kind of deck. I do need a creature in hand, which is not always a given. Shark Typhoon is a very safe card if I end up playing blue. I don't love any of these red cards. Don't love any of these cards, to be honest. We could play that's Hangerback Walker. I get that confused with, when I see Mechagodzilla, I always think it's Walking Ballista. Because look, it's walking and shooting stuff. I'm taking Shark Typhoon. I love Shark Typhoon. Doomblade, Brazen Borrower. Not great. Fast Bond's unfair, but I don't think we're that kind of unfair. It'd be great to get Fast Bond and then like Wheel of Fortune for Sheoldred, which I think someone in chat mentioned. That would be kind of a weird way to do like a many-colored combo-y deck. I like the Brazen Borrower here, I think. Its interaction the same way Doomblade is, but also has other attributes which are potentially useful. I think we're off red. At least, let's see. I think we're at least off of Seasoned Pyromancer, which means Urtai Resurrected. What do you actually do? You counter stuff or destroy stuff and let my opponent draw a card. I mean, it gives me options, right? And then we probably can splash Terminate. I don't love Chain Lightning as much. So for this deck, we're at 27 minus 6. We're at 21 playables if we play like this kind of Grixis Reanimator. That's plenty. All right. We have Bant Headquarters, nothing there. Fatal Push, Young Pyromancer, the Scarab God. Young Pyromancer lets us audible here into a bit of a fair deck if we need to. Not really, let's be real. Young Pyromancer you want to pair with either a bunch of removal spells or a bunch of cantrips or a bunch of counter spells to protect it. All my stuff is like not really great with Young Pyromancer, so I think it's just push. Massacre Worm, kind of a cool sideboard card for specific decks, but I am flush with Reanimator targets, I think. Other Liliana, Fire Ice, Phyrexian Metamorph, Tropical Island. Tropical Island makes it easier to cast Grist. Turns Scalding Tarn into an untapped green source. How many green sources do I have right now? I'm playing Zagoth Triome plus Scalding Tarn, so I have 2 green sources. That is not enough to play Grist. But do I have to? I also don't have small creatures to sacrifice to Grist. I'm going to take Liliana here. Liliana is a like 1-card strategy against like a mono white deck, which I think is good enough. Ooh, the Wheel of Fortune. Is red back on the menu? I got to try and do it. I got to try and do it at least for the memes. Even if it's not the right pick, we're going to play these on stream, do it for the content. Plus, if I say now I'm doing it for the content, then when it goes bad, I can say that, ahaha, I did bad, but who cares? Yawgmoth. I think Deluge is good here, even just as a sideboard card. Or do I just want Dismember if I'm happy to pay life and remove stuff? No, Deluge is a much bigger swing in specific matchups. I have a little bit of targeted removal. I don't have any board wipes. I don't know if I'm main decking that in this cube because there's so many things it doesn't hit, but it's an option. Does not look like we're getting a Badlands family, which is a bummer. Plague Engineer is really good in certain matchups. I didn't get the Punishing Fire. That was last draft. So, yeah, I guess Plague Engineer. Some people are probably going to want me to play Gonti, but if I'd taken the Recurring Nightmare, sure. But I didn't, so I'm taking this. Vendilion Click is a good pickup, though I don't like that for our curve. All right, Shatterskull Smashing. A lot of 3-drops here. Very heavy on the 3-drops. We'll be cutting some of those for sure in deck building. Let's take the Shatterskull Smashing. I don't think we ended up with enough green fixing to play Grist. Let's put Grist down here. Sure, Doomblade, why not? I think it's actually probably wrong to main deck a Doomblade here, to be honest. The decks could do so much that isn't just kill you with creatures that I'm a little worried about it. All right, so we're at 35 minus 7, so we got cuts to make still from this list. Thief, I don't think is good enough. Memory Deluge, sure. Put it down here with Factor Fiction. Don't need to play both of those. Definitely play one or the other, if either, to be honest. Thief of Sanity. How castable is this Vendilion Click going to be? I just want to wheel Sheoldred people. That's all I want to do with this deck. That's a perfect, like, we have enough red to splash a Wheel of Fortune, for sure. Because you're going to want to play it in the late game anyway, so I think that's fine. Keep somebody from potentially Crucible strip mining me. Sure, let's just cut that. I don't... Factor Fiction, Memory Deluge. I think in this deck, with my bad fixing, Factor Fiction is actually better, even though normally I would say Deluge. So we'll cut Deluge. All right. On to deck building. I think this is okay. Cutting all these. Get out of here. Boop. That puts us down to 29 non-land cards. That's fine. It's counting this as a non-land 7. So it's counting this as a non-land. So really we have 28 non-land cards. Get Pia and Kieran out of here. Do I need the third reanimation target in Cityscape Leveler? A great question for us to answer for ourselves in a moment. Do I main deck the Toxic Deluge or the Doomblade? More great questions. Let's put Brazen Borrower up here. That's a lot of 3-drops. That's too many 3-drops. I think Thief of Sanity is the worst here. This environment does have a lot less removal than the Bun Magic Cube. Not a lot less, but noticeably less, especially like small, dinky little removal. Like, this card I think is kind of unplayable in my own environment. Here it's more likely to stick, but still not great, I don't think. Where do we put this in our curve? Probably here, realistically, is where we're going to be doing that most of the time. So I think we cut Thief. If we keep Murderous Rider, we can cut Doomblade. Plague Engineer, Brazen Borrower, Vendilion Click. We're at 25. I don't have the fixing to run as low of a land count as I would like to. Yeah. Cityscape Leveler is... Yeah, because it is a cast trigger. It's really just an 8/8 Trampler. Yeah, get that out of here. What am I doing? I misread that card. I guess if we were to play a third one, we'd play a Tarka. A Tarka is a beating against the right deck. Even more of a beating than, like, Archon or Grizzlebrand. If my opponent's playing aggro, and I, like, turn 3 or 4, get a Tarka, that's a huge, huge beating. Okay. Let's put this in the, like, very unlikely to play pile. Here's other cards I could possibly consider for main decking, but probably won't. So we're at 25. I need a couple more cuts still. Normally in a deck like this, I would like to play a low land count, but my curve is high. I got a lot of 3-drops, and also I don't have the fixing to have enough sources. Yeah, I think I agree. I think signing up to have Archon as our only good persist hit. I mean, yeah. Look at all these other legendary creatures. Urtai, Sheoldred. So the other option, if we don't... How good is persisting Cityscape Leveler, though? I just don't know. Okay, all good questions. I can reanimate Grist. That's something to consider. I think we can cut either Deluge or Plague Engineer. I like cutting Plague Engineer here because Deluge is so often castable even if I have my own big threats in play, because I can obviously not pay so much life as to kill them all. Persist only gets back Archon, but I do have both Unmarked Grave and Entomb. Both Unmarked Grave and Persist are going to look real bad if I draw the Archon. Pretty bad, but I need them. I mean, I think that's what the deck is doing. The deck is trying to turbo out one of these unfair things. So I can't go off strategy here. So what we got? We've got some, like, let's put this in other stacks. Let's go interaction, 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 kind of interaction, discard outlet. I think Urtai is not good enough here. I'm not holding up mana. If I was holding up counterspells or something, then I could be sold on a 3/2 flash, but I don't think that's getting there. This is just a threat, some card draw that also bins stuff with Factor Fiction. Okay. This puts us at 17 lands, including the Shatterskull Smashing, which I think is close to the right number. I think my question is, how many sources does that leave us with of each of these kind? All right, so I have one Scalding Tarn, an Underground Seal. Those are both blue-black. That's also blue-black. Xander's Lounge, also blue-black. So these are my only two ones that are not blue-black. In terms of full Grixis, the only thing that's full Grixis is Xander's Lounge and Scalding Tarn. Let's put these down here like this then. All right, so blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Black, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. People that have listened to the podcast know that the way I do my mana bases is I always get all of my sources or all of my colors to the same number of sources across the board first, and then I go from there. And then red, 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 red. I think I can afford to play up to 6 red, though. And 6 is kind of what I want for like Faithless Looting and Wheel, which are the cards I'm hoping to actually use the red for. Looting is kind of... Actually, I mean, Shatterskull Smashing. Am I ever going to get to double red to actually cast that? Is that just a worse mountain? I think double red's pretty unlikely in this list. So as much as I love flexibility... If we do that, we have 7 slots left for lands, which can put us at a 10-9 mana base, black-blue. Not great, but not awful. I think the question is, as Chad is kind of indicating, do we cut a Faithless Looting here and instead just throw in a Cityscape Leveler? We only have 1, 2... We only have 2 actual reanimation spells, though, so I don't like having 4 reanimation targets with that many spells. And Faithless Looting also just does stuff. I mean, like, you know, drawing cards, discarding cards. It can do things. Yeah. I think this is how I'm going to run it. Let's do one more look at this. 4, 3. Don't put your basics in the right order, Jay. Man, people that aren't obsessive about how they manage their cubes on Cube Cobra, disgusting to me. All right, blue... Black, red. I think we can maybe cut one of these red sources. So this puts us at 10 black, 9 blue, 6 red. I think we can make our Faithless Looting, Terminate, and Wheel of Fortune a little less castable in exchange for being able to hit Click and Borrower more regularly. I really want to have the interaction of Click and Borrower in here, so I think I'm going to go up 1 more island. So only leaves 5 red sources, which I really don't like for this. Do I play Doomblade over Terminate main deck because of 5 red sources? I think I do. I'm going to lose to black creatures and feel bad about it, but I don't want to be staring at a Terminate I can't cast because I haven't found my red source and know that I had a Doomblade in the sideboard. All right. The other thing for Faithless Looting here is that I think flooding is a real concern I have, and that's going to be a nice backstop against flooding. It's real sad I can't play some of these cards. I can't reasonably cast Seasoned Pyromancer. Plague Engineer is a good sideboard card. Urtai's maybe a decent sideboard card. I can bring in more removal against aggro decks and, you know, play some more mountains if I need to. I think this is the main deck. I agree there's a couple of, like, awkward bits here. Like, it's awkward that I have Unmarked Grave and Persist with only the 1 non-legendary reanimation target, but I think Cityscape Leveler is enough worse that probably doesn't get there. Leveler is like a great sneak attack thing. If you give it haste, I think it's a lot better. So I'm worried about that a little bit. We have the Sheoldred Wheel of Fortune combo, which will definitely end games if we get to pull it off. We have the just cast Sheoldred and my opponent doesn't have removal combo. That will also just end games. Some Planeswalkers, a couple backstops against creature decks in the form of Liliana of the Last Hope, a little bit of removal, Toxic Deluge. Yeah, this is a question of, like, what is the main deck for a deck like this? I don't have enough controlling elements that I can see us going long and winning with Tar Pit, but we can maybe cheese a game if someone goes low. All right. That's going to be my main deck for the beginning of our draft. So tune in tonight if you want to see us stream these games, and if you are watching this on YouTube later, we'll be posting the matches from our games. We'll be posting matches in subsequent days after this draft. So, yeah. And let me know in the comments if you liked watching the draft, if you think I'm awful at it, if this is interesting and provides good context, it's not too hard to stream these, so maybe we'll be doing that too in the future.